friend was thinking about how spellcraft works and why there's pre-programming. It's to dispel the energy from realizing what happened. And so he set up this graph, which I think is brilliant. So you have a basic hydraulic system, controlled assets, influence, invoke social norms, spell event. For those of you that understand this stuff, just check out this graph, hit pause, and really think about it. You have the blue and the red, just like in a hydraulic system. The two-party false binary, mainstream media, directional control curve, pressure line, pressure relief valve, controlled reveals. This is what I really want to talk about today. The controlled reveal and the rabbit holes and how that's used in the system. Matt from Quantum of Conscious talks about piston breadcrumbs and how the truth community can be manipulated and used. And I think this is one of the ways that it happens. And then the desired outcome is the piston. You know, this is how human farming is done. And so let's just take 7-Eleven was a part-time job application, that event that happened on that beautiful fall day and at the start of the millennia. So the pre-programming is because at this point you can see that the red and the blue are the same. They're just, the blue pushes and the red reacts. You see it? So you see you're in the same system with the red and the blue. There is no good guy or bad guy in that system. There's merely cogs in a machine. And this is what the machine kind of looks like. And so the obsession over truth drops and pre-programming and all that stuff, it's a way to take the energy that's going to come from your event, your spellcraft, that's inevitable, and throw it somewhere else. Because it's like getting rid of heat from a car's engine. So it's like for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction in physics, and that's what I've seen with my life. Very true. So if you do a major event, there's going to be a reaction, and every animal, no matter how small, when cornered, is given three options: fight, flight, or freeze. And so no matter how small the animal, there's a really good chance they will bite you. And so how do you get rid of the bites? You take the energy that would see the Gulf of Tonkin or see the moon landing or see 9/11 for what it was or whatever, and then you send them on a path of nonsense where you're like, look, it's in The Simpsons. Look, it's in this. Look, it's in that. Oh, they just revealed, Agenda 201, lockstep. Oh, they're mocking us. It's a pump. It's not even about mockery. It's like, sometimes I go back and forth with thinking that there is a demoralization aspect of the reveals, but I think the reveals are guided. And just like the two hands on guided to do the piston moving, I don't think it's personal. The two hands on a piano keyboard is very similar. And somebody had a great comment on my video. Where is it? Because the pattern I'm doing is emotional and it evokes emotion. And I promise I'm not super cold, calculated guy. Like, I feel emotional when I play piano. I never thought about it this way. But when you reverse engineer things, you just start seeing a lot more. All right, so Darren Sucks at Games, pretty funny name, said, also expanding the bass is really just playing the rest of the notes that the chord is based on, as the chords are just certain notes from the scale stacked on top in specific ways to create an emotional tone. Exactly. So a chord, you have a certain keys in a chord, like an algorithm, like a computer script. And it's your decision when you play each of those notes. You're given, like an A minor would be A, C, E, A. Like, you're given those chords. And if you want to make it a 7 chord, you got to change the top A to an A flat, all this stuff. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but those are the only chords you can play, or else it changes its identity and no longer is an A minor chord. So let's say your song has an A minor bass and you're given those notes. You can play them in any order or any way you want, and it will evoke different emotions. And then the right hand is playing the melody. The left hand is holding the ground, keeping the reality shaped in a way based on those chords. And that's why my piano is tuned to 432 hertz and not 440 hertz, because in the 1930s or 40s in America, they shifted all radio music from 432 to 440 because it showed that there is more agitation at 440. It keeps the population more agitated. So that's why when I play piano, sometimes a lot of people feel very calm and very good. And part of that is because of the emotional aspect of 432. And then this guy continues, Darren continues with, when my guitar teacher started very first lesson, he led with an understanding of emotional patterns versus strictly practicing scales and chords to teach what BB is describing here, which are the real world principles for why music even resonates with us at all. Yeah, it's the music of the stars, the music of all fractal life. I know that might not make sense, but it's all there. The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles, the 12 months, the 12 nerves in your brain, the 12 cell salts of all food, the 12, right? There's certain numbers and patterns and ratios that just exist in our life. And when you tap into that, you can see a lot more. He gone. Keep people in cognitive dissonance. No one is invading American military. Josh, that's so far off what we're talking about here. You can make two notes say a lifetime of emotion when you open your mind to music as an emotional journey in audible form. Exactly. Like that's why in the past I've talked a lot about. Am I still live? I know that I'm not going to look at the chat and spiral that. But hang on, let me just check with COD. I know some people just don't know to refresh it. Hang on. Am I live? Still live? Okay, cool. Before you write in the chat if I'm live or not live, just refresh your browser first. It's probably you and you're probably gay. All right, so anyway, so then me and my friend were talking this morning about a spell. You know, why did the biggest spells require so many rabbit holes, so many breadcrumbs, so much stuff for the reaction to talk about? And you have the two hands. You have the feminine and the masculine, the red and the blue, the black and the white, the left and the right. You have a pump. And so you have an event, and then there's going to be a pressure relief valve, which is a lot of times the truth community, where it's like, where we're digging and digging and digging, but where does it goes to places where it was preset. That's why I'm for truth digging. I'm totally for enlightenment, you know, whatever that means. I know there's probably some weird connotations with that. Age of Enlightenment was kind of grabbled, but I'm totally for truth and research and understanding our history and the world around us and stuff. But there's clearly areas that are nonsensical, and it's so you're part of the pump. Like, there's an event happening on the news right now that's just a trauma pump, where they want a lot of people during this crime that's happening, a wealth transfer of fake wealth anyway. It's still in the pump. We can talk about that another time. We'll talk about real estate in a second. Remind me. They want you staring at a screen that's saying 2 dead. Now there's 3. Now there's 4 dead. Look, a kid. The next day, 5 dead, 8 dead, 10 dead. Like just drip, drip, drip of trauma. Drip. And it's so and don't get me wrong, I know that buildings just kind of collapse like that. Like that's how an actual building would collapse. 7-Eleven. You know, like half of it would fall off, or there is events where that really does happen. But the fact the media is using it to dispel, I don't know if they did it or if the media just latches onto it like an editorial device, but that drip of like trauma where it's like, well, we live in a building like that. That could be us. That could be my mom. That could be my dad. That could be my kids, you know? And then you're staring at it like, oh, the horror. Oh, that could be me. And so the energy is being pulled away from what's happening with the medical hoax that's happening right now with the massive wealth transfer. And so Event 201, the Fauci lab leak disclosure, Building 7, we'd go back to the moon in a nanosecond if we had the technology to do it. Like, these things are on purpose, in my opinion, to dispel energy. It's to get people that would react to get out of the system, because the reaction, if they didn't do stuff like that, would be like, oh, I'm out of here. Like, this is weak, man. I'm going to grow my own food. I'm going to get my own supply chains. They want you being like, oh, we're almost going to get them. We're almost going to figure out the scam. And that energy is pulled. And that's why there's so much disclosure in Hollywood and in all this stuff. It's just to keep your eyes on it. Red, blue, pump, pump, pump. And the good guy versus bad guy theme between red and blue keeps shifting. Like, I'd be considered red now, and I line up much more with right wing, but without changing my opinions, with the exception of maybe 3 that have changed, like fundamentals about like guns and abortion and stuff. But like, without changing, but even back then it wasn't like it is now with the left. But without even changing my opinions, if you went back to the George W. Bush era, a lot of you guys would probably could consider yourself on the left, because if you were against medical tyranny, against Monsanto, against like being told what to do by commerce regulation in stores, like that would have been the left. The pump just switched. That's why there's an alternator on a battery. And right now, the good guys, quote unquote, would be more on the right, because they're the David against Goliath. BB may be red, but he's not a young blood anymore. Thank you, Boar Bear. So, and the hypocrisy of the right and all that. Like, I remember growing up seeing like how many of the hypocrites would consider themselves on the right, where it was like they would want to put a kid in jail, like a 14-year-old, for kissing another boy that's 14 or 15, like a confused kid. Paul from Pockets was talking about this, where they put one of these kids in a sex treatment for sex offenders for like 4 years with no victim. That is why the LGBT pump got primed, because there was things going down that were horrifying to quote unquote gays, where it was like, without a victim, you're just a confused kid. And then if you get put into the system, you become really, really angry, and your pump is ready to go. And that's why you see what it is now. The real balance, the reality of homosexuality, quote unquote, whatever that is sodomy is a sin because it weakens you. No life will come from it. It's a very destructive existence. And like, if given, once a population hits a certain level of quote unquote homosexual, there is no reproduction to take care of the elderly. Your economy falls apart. It's a disaster. Now, add on top of that, the new philosophical justifications of child abuse, trans children, pedophilia, bestiality, all this stuff that comes out of it. It's bad. Like, it is bad. It is something to discourage amongst the youth. But like, do you put a kid in jail for 4 years for kissing another boy on a bus? No, that's not a sexual predator. That's a confused kid. And that's a kid that needs guidance and needs a strong male role model and an understanding that his friend, he doesn't love his friend like that. He just likes his friend. He has like the love male friends have for each other is not sexual. Maybe he's being molested at home. I don't know, but it's not predatory. So it's wrong, and they should be taught another path. But that isn't a prison sentence, And so the pump keeps flipping. So back then you had the hypocrites and the tyranny were way more on the right. And now it's reversed. Now you have the system feeding the other direction, where like a nation is its people. Like, to say a Somalian off a boat given a passport made out of paper is now an American isn't true. America is a people, And although there's always going to be a level of immigration or a level of assimilation that happens over long periods of time, the idea that a nation isn't a people is crazy. That's a conquest. So that comes on the back of white pride, or my accomplishment is my skin, my accomplishment is my ancestors. No, you don't get that. You don't get to rest on the laurels of your ancestors and say, oh, I'm better than you because I'm white. That's where the pump gets its fuel. And so then once the pump is gone full crazy, it flips again. And so we're going to see the flip again. But if you stay in the pump, you're going to be serving the pump. Your energy will be siphoned off and used. And that's why there is no enforcement. There is no guy kicking in your door, sticking something in your ass like an injection or taking your guns. Those are all part of this pump. So you have a spell event, and then you have the natural reaction. This is all wizardry. It's not military. The world is run by narratives, and the world is run by spells. It's not run by bullets. If you can get a man's mind, he can have a full auto 50 cal pointed at you, and he can't pull the trigger. AI has always been a spell. Let's get to that. AI has been one of these fantasies that has been pushed out on people for a very, very, very long time. The Jetsons, all this stuff. My whole life is all saying that by 2001, A Space Odyssey, and all. It's just around the corner. Just around the corner, robots will be ruling everything. AI is going to be ruling everything. AI is us. It's us. You get someone in debt and addicted to pornography, they're a robot, and you can program them any way you want. There is no robots or AI coming. You can look at the patterns, guys. These are old. Like, so how long do we wait to go back to the moon? How long do we wait until there's robots? I like that robot, dude. If you put a comma instead of a period, the robot starts like punching itself in the face. There's no robots. It's not a threat. Some people got freaked out by this news story that a drone started thinking for itself and gunned down a village or something. Dude, all I see is someone trying to use a liability shield because they got caught murdering somebody. That's not how AI functions. And so, can AI do crazy shit? Yeah, AI, when programmed, can do what the programmer wants it to do. Does it develop a consciousness and sentientness and becomes evil? No, that's a pipe dream that's used for mass mind control for the pump. Lil Pump. So just take a look at this again. So you have the controlled assets influence. You have the piping of the pressure. The blue right now is pushing it. The red is reacting, right? So you have the controlled assets, the influence, the influencers, all the comedians, all the movie stars, all the talking heads that are pushing an agenda. The spell or the event, COVID-19, 9/11, moon landing, whatever you want to do it, starts the thing moving, right? Like in a combustion engine, it would be the spark that, right? And so return line. So what happens then? You keep going through, and then you have controlled reveals because there has to be a turn. Oh, look, it's the router power is 201. Oh, this, that, documents. I got the documents. And that gets people, their minds stay in the pump. They just keep going, oh, we got him. We're so close. Everyone's waking up. We're about to fly to the moon again. And then it keeps going, and you have desired outcome is the pistol rod, but then you got the two-party false binary system is the movement back and forth, back and forth. Good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy. Mainstream media is right there at the directional control valve. They can just move the valve in the direction they want. The pressure line, the red, the reaction, whether it's the Democrats in 2002 or Republicans in 2021, it's the reaction, the David and Goliath, the underdog, is saying this isn't right what we're doing over there, And so it's the feminine masculine, the right hand, the left hand, the right eye, the left eye. That's why, the Illuminati stuff with the one eye. And then the pressure relief valve is entertainment. So you watch your shows and your movies and you crunch your popcorn, you think that it's, or alcohol or pills or whatever. It's really interesting shit. So am I against truth seeking? No, not at all. Like, I love it. And this pump is as old as, I'm guessing, as old as time. However old that is. But like, when this is something to ask yourself, and this is what I'm going to ask myself, is when you're seeking truth, does it help your life?